All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nisha Singh, and welcome to our webinar, Deconstructing the Monolith Segmentation of Women Clients. We're very excited to have all of you join us. We're in conversation today with Access Bank Nigeria and Kit Royal Tropical Institute. This is the second of our webinars in this series where we're speaking to financial service providers who have put an effort into understanding women and understanding the idea that women are not a monolith and have invested time and effort into designing products and services that are based on this differentiated um, understanding of women as a client segment. So we have some great speakers. I won't take up a lot of time today. And our host today is Fiona Jarden, who is a senior financial inclusion advisor at the Kit Royal Tropical Institute. And she's also worked with Access Bank in the past on segmentation. So we thought she would be the perfect moderator and host for this conversation. Before I hand it off to Fiona to introduce the Access Bank team and lead this conversation, just a few housekeeping things. As participants, you're all muted. You can post your questions, comments in the chat. If you have any technical issues, paste them there also. This is a fairly quick, fast-paced conversation. We will end in about 43 minutes from now. So, keep the questions coming. We would love to be able to answer some of them, and anything that we're not able to answer during the webinar, we'll follow up and include that when we send out the recording from this session, as well as some additional resources. There will be an evaluation at the end when you close the Zoom, and I'll remind you of that. But with those housekeeping items out of the way, I'm going to hand it off to our moderator for today, Fiona.
Thank you, Nisha, and thanks to Finequity for having me here today. As Nisha mentioned, my name's Fiona and I'm an advisor with the Kit Royal Tropical Institute. And for those who don't know us, we provide research and advisory services for sustainable development, including financial inclusion. And I'm really happy to be here to moderate this conversation with Access Bank Nigeria about their work targeting and segmenting the women's market. But before I introduce you to our speakers, I want to start with a bit more context about the conversation today and start with acknowledging the issue that we all know, especially all the experts that we have on the line today, that women are unserved and underserved globally by financial service providers. And there are many reasons for that. And when you look at the supply side constraints, just one of the reasons is that financial service providers tend to view women as the same, and so engage them with a sort of one-size-fits-all approach in service delivery. But through our research at KIT, we know that needs and preferences do differ, and their preferences and pain points differ based on age and profession, education, business stage, marital status, income level, and lots of other factors. And that really influences how women can use, and even if they can use, different types of financial services. But what's so good is that long ago, Access Bank Nigeria realized that too, and at their own initiative and with investments from development banks like FMO and many consultancies, they've placed a segmentation strategy at the heart of their women's market program called the W Initiative, launched in 2014. And in practice, what a segmentation strategy means is that they performed market research, they identified 3 priority segments, and they set about tailoring their products and services to those segments. So there's a lot more to say about that and lessons learned, and we're going to hear from our expert women's banking speakers now about their approach and lessons learned along the way. And so I'm very pleased to welcome Access Bank's Bimpe Gisanrin and Sandra Orgu. Bimpe is the manager of Access Bank Nigeria's W Initiative and oversees the team. She has over 17 years experience in the banking industry and is a passionate women's economic empowerment advocate. Welcome, Bimpe. And Sandra is a gender specialist with Access Bank. Her role is to inspire, connect, and empower women through the W initiative. Welcome, Sandra. And so for today, we have about 15 minutes before we open the floor to take your questions from the audience. But before I do that, I want to ask our speakers a couple of questions to kick us off. So let's get started. And for my first question, I want to go back to the very beginning of Access Bank's efforts to target the women's market. So perhaps Sandra, you'd like to kick us off with what motivated Access Bank Nigeria to begin targeting and segmenting the women's market all those years ago. And Bimpe, I'm sure you've got loads of insights to add to that too.
Yes. Yes.
Who would like to start? Sandra?
Okay, let me comment.
Okay. Sure, Bimpe, go ahead.
Okay, let me comment. For the women's market business, it was a serious business for us. And we started this in 2006 with an experimental program, what we call GEM, that's a Gender Empowerment Marketing Program. It was an on-lending scheme in partnership with IFC to give finance to women and entrepreneurs. And we started with just 750, and then, of course, with the 2.5 billion portfolio. And when we finished that, we were amazed at what we got. And then we looked at it and said, okay, we went into partnership. We looked for sort of partnership, technical partnerships, research to help us look into the market and see how we can create an holistic market strategy that will identify the various segments in the women's market. That was our own testing the waters to see what are the viability in this business. And when we saw that, when by the time we collated all the reports and the research, we came out with what we now know as W initiative of Access Bank. And here we are to empower. We aim at our mottos is to empower, connect, and inspire. We are very deliberate and intentional about that. So that is our beginning story.
Thanks, Bimpe. Sandra, did you want to add anything to that? Where the beginnings?
Yes, I totally agree with Bimpe. Yeah, I totally agree with Bimpe. We realize that women are like the backbone of the economy. And generally, seeing women like that, we already understand that, when you meet a woman, you penetrate the whole nation, more like our ecosystem. So definitely, when you're banking a woman, you're banking the whole ecosystem, her family, the churches she visits, everybody. So it's like women are like, we are very viable in the economy. So without the woman, you really can't go far generally if you decide to make an impact within a country or across the continent. So I agree with Bimpe totally. Those were like the pain points for us.
Well, something must be working right, because now you've got 15 million female customers and you're scaling to new markets. So
yes.
What were the other big aha moments as a result of your segmentation strategy? Was it all about the business case, or were there also sort of more impact potential that you saw through your work for women's economic empowerment per se? So tell us about any aha moments that you realized along the way.
Okay, looking at the aha moments that we realized along the way, I'll take it from two aspects, profitability and then segmentation. So for segmentation, we realized that typically people look at women in business and women, female young professionals, but then we neglect a particular sector in the society, that is women and family. These women are like a hybrid. Some of them are professionals looking to retire. Some of them are professionals looking to go into businesses. They have dependents and they have a lot of things coming out, a lot of potential there. So in terms of segmentation, we realize that there's this particular segment that doesn't necessarily fall into the bucket of a typical professional or a businesswoman, but then they need offerings and they desire a lot of things from us as financial institutions. Also, in terms of profitability, we realize that women are more prudent, they are more disciplined in terms of managing their portfolio. Take, for example, a woman in business. When you have her, she She understands what her business is all about, and when she takes a loan or decides to borrow from the bank, she's very deliberate about paying back. So this was something that we realized within Access Bank, and we found out that women are better savers as well. We realize that women who manage or handle or manage accounts that have their ecosystems within the bank manage it better, because they're able to manage a portfolio, they're able to understand, and they're very futuristic about a lot of things. So these were like the things that we realized during that period, sort of our aha moments. Yeah.
Thanks, Sandra. Bimpe, could you add anything around what you saw in terms of the emerging business case from
Yeah,
the
okay.
W initiative?
Let me take you back. Remember, I said we started this journey in 2006 with an on-lending scheme. By the time we finished that scheme for 2 years, with a portfolio of 2.5 billion in 2006, that's almost 200 billion right now. That's the valuation effect. We found out that the MPL was as significant as 0.1. It was amazing. It was an aha moment to say these segments are better borrowers, are better managers. And remember, in our own country, in those days, the typical face of a successful entrepreneur was a man. So it was in that process of saying, what can we do for the women folks? And so we came up with this program. And then at the end of 2 years, we looked at it, we had our money back. It was a great feeling as a woman, and also part of that journey to say, yes, we are better managers. Yes.
Excellent. And that really supports what we're seeing in the global community around the business case for banking, for, the women's market, that are such strong savers, lower NPLs. And okay, great. Now, I've heard you talk a little bit about women in family and women in business, but for our audience members, can you just tell us a bit more about who your target segments are and how they differ?
Okay, we looked at, when we went to the market, we have this, after this research, we looked at it, what are the segments, what are the profitable segment that were based on their ability to use the web, to use social media, their financial needs, their lifestyle needs, and a lot of things, and what their affinity to the banking sector, the banking institution. So we have 3 segments. We have the young professional, we have the W in family, and the W in business. That's the woman in business. You will find out that a young professional it could be a young professional is somebody, a 9-to-5er. She's 21 to 35. She's career focused. She could be in a pre-family or family stage of her life, but she's an heavy user of technology. The W and family. The W and family is just capturing that woman and her family. You can't have a woman without her ecosystem. Her ecosystem is her family, either her children or her aged parents or her in-laws, but that is it. So we looked at that to be an age range of 25 to 55. She's learned, she's professional, she could be married with kids, just as I said. She could be a full-time worker, and also it could be also part-time or a full housewife. Then we have the final segment that we call the woman in business, just as the name implies, that women that earn their living, make their revenues from the business they do. If you look at it, some women can cut across, because right now we have young professionals that are also having family and also doing a side hustle like a business or the line. But a woman in business or a woman in a family also, she has a family, she's also into business. So women cut across these 3 specific segments. Also, we have another ecosystem, what we call the ecosystem. We looked at where we typically will find women, and that was easy. We could find them in faith-based, either in churches, in mosques. We could find them in healthcare, either having clinics, hospital diagnosis centers. We could also find them in women-focused association, and those are springing up fastly, because right now women want to be recognized. We want to sit on the table, say, if you're going to take a decision for us, I need to be on that table. So even if there were associations before, right now everybody is now carving out another association just for the women folks in that association. So we typically will find women in those 3 sectors, and also in those segments also.
So if I understand correctly, you're segmenting by business stage, also life stage, which is age,
Yes,
and some other characteristics, and you also worked out where and how to find them based on your research. Okay, so in 2019, Kit did do some market research with your W initiative segment, so I do know a bit about their preferences and what they value from the bank, and that research was funded by Access Bank and FMO. And it absolutely confirmed that there was a diversity in needs and pain points as well across the three different W segments. For example, the young professional really, was hungry for business skills training because they're at the beginning of their career. Whereas women in business, which is your micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, they really want to feel valued and understood by Access Bank. Also, though, often from a less privileged background, and they really appreciate it when Access Bank truly understands their business. So I wondered if you can give us some more insights and maybe some practical examples about, how you've used that market research to specifically target your different women's segments. So how are you tailoring your service to your three W initiative segments?
Okay,
Sandra?
looking at the way thank you, Fiona. Looking at the way we target our women segments, something is very key for us, and that is communication. So through our communication platforms, we have a community, a W community, which is a website for women. We're also present on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, with a large followership of women. And we ensure that our communication materials are gender smart. So they have the language, they speak the language of women, and they speak the language of our various target audience periodically, or the different target audience that we're trying to focus on at that particular time. Also looking towards our value propositions. Our value propositions are actually unique for these women. So for example, for our women in business, we have capacity building and women economic empowerment trainings that are carefully designed for them. Just recently or currently, we're going through a process for women. It's a mini MBA program in partnership with IFC, and we have over 100 women attending this program currently. For our female professionals, they're exposed to mentoring, they're exposed to other value propositions that the bank has, other products that will help them invest better, save better, and build their career generally. And typically, we actually have a team of gender specialists that work on this. So we have a team that actually works on providing these value propositions to the women, and we've ensured that these are always in place for us, and we've tried to keep it up so far.
Thanks, Sandra. And I think what I love to hear about is your first point about the importance of communication and your channels and tailoring that in a gender sensitive way. Because what we found, I think, my one takeaway from the work that we did with Access Bank was that it's not just about the products. Yes, all women want access to loans, but actually what's so fascinating is that it goes beyond that. It's exactly as you say, it's about communication. And the W initiative segments all really valued information from the bank, good communication, trust and respect. So yeah, I mean, is that something that you are prioritizing and continue to prioritize in your work, Sandra?
Yes, it's something we prioritize. We have, so to enable our customers, our female customers, speak to us better, we have a desk called W Cares. It's a special email and a special hotline where women can reach us directly. So it's something we prioritize. We don't just see women as general customers of the bank. We actually we see them as special customers of the bank. Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me give a little bit more context about that. Before the COVID hit, we created a niche in the contact center that for women to reach us, so that we can also be closer to the women folks. But when the lockdown, everybody was at home, and we looked at it that there must be a way we can also communicate with our female customers. So we created what we call now, what Sandra mentioned, the W Cares. It's an email, it's linked to everybody. So if you have any comments, any inquiries, just hit your laptop, hit on your phone, send an email, everybody will say. So we have 2 touch points that the women can reach us. So that's to show you that communication is key, because we know women, communication is very, very key. And then we put a gender lens to our communications. Whatever we're doing for a woman, we have to put a gender lens to say, not every communication attracts to a woman. So we also have to put that in the know and look at it and say, this must attract her, and we want to catch her attention.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bimpe, for that. I think we can move on to some of the operationalized sort of, the day-to-day work as well of the bank, and what you do to design and deliver the W initiative. And many banks who have a goal to serve the women's market do struggle to make that a priority across the entire business. So do you feel like you've really managed to integrate the W initiative priorities across your entire business? How did you do that, if so? And what were the key success factors? Bimpe, would you like to answer that?
Okay, the key success factors for us in the women market is firstly the management buy-in. It is very key. I've seen people try to come up with different things, but what I've noticed that if your management is interested, if they are buying, they are always interested to know what is new. What are you doing afresh? What are you doing to capture this market? So for us in Access Bank, part of our success story is that our management is also very, very, very 100% with us in this journey to say they're interested in what we're doing. I have my MD speaks in different forums for women championing the cause for women. So we have the buy-in of not just him, but the entire top management. Also, a value proposition, because we did just come out and say, okay, we are doing a product for women. We bundle those products according to their financial needs, to their lifestyle needs. So everything is in touch with them. What at this stage of your life, what will you require? We bundle those products and provide for you. At the next stage of your life, what will you require? We bundle that and give to you. But also, we look at it that we can't be an island. We also need to also have best practices. What are our peers in other places doing? So we form strategic partnership and alliance with a lot of partners. We have a lot of partners who do capacity training. We do gender sensitivity training. We do a lot of research. So we have partners that also assist us to say these are new things that are going on in the market. So we're not relying on what we knew or what we started with in 2014. So every year we keep rebranding ourselves, keep looking at what is the market, what is new, how can we make this empowerment program for women a successful one for the women. So it is very, very key for these 3 positions. So we are very, very really part of our success stories.
Thank you, Bimpe. Sandra, just jump in if you wanted to add anything. Otherwise, I'll keep moving. And just to mention sorry.
No, nothing. I wanted to just touch base with gender sensitivity training. It's really surprising that we have male champions for change within the organization. So not just women championing it within the organization, and also men too. So we have like champions across our branches, and we engage them and we ensure that we train them periodically. So in terms of operations, the whole bank is in tandem with what is going on with the W initiative, and everybody's buy-in is already bought.
Yeah.
Great point. Because of course, to support women's economic empowerment and gender equality, we need men as champions, and it's music to my ears that your managing director is a gender champion. So it's great news. So maybe our listeners are thinking what I'm thinking right now is that I can imagine it's not always been smooth sailing. Can you give us some insights into what, any issues or challenges that you have faced in delivering the W initiative?
So looking at the challenges that we faced, one very important thing is actually the societal barrier that we face in Nigeria and across our subsidiaries. Women within the community a lot of women are shy. They are relegated to the background. So most of the time, trying to reach these women can be an issue sometimes because of the cultural barriers that they face within the community or some societal issue. So for example, looking at women in business, just recently, okay, so before we scaled up our women in business proposition, we realized that a lot of women actually managed businesses, but they didn't own these businesses. So you have their husbands having like 100% control of the business in terms of documentation, but they manage the businesses. So this is something that we've had a challenge with so far, and we are changing the narrative. So now we're saying women have to own their businesses. So not necessarily managing the business at the forefront, but owning the business in terms of documentation. Another thing that we faced again is economic volatility. You know, we realize that the economy sometimes is not stable. So it's not easy preferring solutions for women at different times, and this has always also been a challenge for us. So for example, after the lockdown, we had to revamp and re-strategize and understand what we were offering to women. So for example, our face-to-face communication with women and engagement had to move to virtual engagement. So these are like some challenges that we faced so far. Bimpe, would you like to add one or two?
Okay, funding also was a problem because funding for the women, because we especially, let me give you an instance. We know the funding gap for women in school quite enormous, and then a pandemic came and hit the businesses. As I speak to you, women are not even looking for loans, they're looking for grants. So just of course, we also have to key in, we're having Sandra has mentioned it, we're having a grant session ongoing, they're doing the capacity training, and then they will do their pitches much later before the year runs out. But so we're also looking for grants to see, we've seen the effect of these businesses. We've keyed it in after this NSAS protest of last year. The bank came and took a position. We were the first financial institution that came up the next day and said, we need to do something. That these businesses, for no fault of their own, had gone through some tremendous thing. That if we don't help them, they will also join the unemployment level. So we had to do something as a social, corporate social responsibility to say, okay, this is what we are going to do. And we stood up, and other financial institutions and also in the private individuals also stood up along with us. Also, sometimes also mindset also is a different thing, because the society has given a stake and saying for a woman to that, there's a saying in this part of the world that behind every successful man is a woman. So they believe the man should be in front while the lady stays at the back. So that's another challenge, because we're also trying to tell them that we are all equal in this fight. So I could be successful. It should be beside a successful man is a woman, not behind. So we're also trying to change that narrative. We are all equal.
Absolutely.
Nobody's better than each other. Yeah. So it should be beside a successful man is a woman, or beside a successful woman is a man, not behind.
Yeah. Thank you for making that point loud and clear, and we are with you on that, that's for sure. I'm looking at the time, and I know we have promised around about now to open it up to the audience. I wondered, before we do that, very, very briefly, Bimpe or Sandra, if you could tell us, what does the future hold for the W initiative? Because I know you're planning to scale it. It's already in Ghana in a big way, Rwanda, Zambia, and Gambia, and other places. So what's next for the W initiative?
What's next for us? We are scaling up. We are going to be bigger. We're going to be better. We are scaling up. We are looking into another 5 years. We are saying wherever every market Access Bank is, as soon as we put our footstep there, the next thing we are doing is creating a W initiative, a women's desk in that country. So as I speak, apart from Ghana, Zambia, and Rwanda, we are now in South Africa, Congo, Sierra Leone, Gambia. I have my colleague in Gambia here with me. She's also understudying the team. We are going to be in Botswana. We're in Botswana. We're setting up in Botswana. So wherever Access Bank's footstep reaches, we are getting there. And we're also looking at it that, okay, we've done a research to say what is the missing link again that the pandemic created. And we've seen that niche, and we are coming out with a bang in 2022. Look out for us.
Fantastic. So exciting to hear. We are now at time, and I really want to open up to the audience to give plenty of time for their inputs. I'm sorry, Sandra, hopefully you can add further thoughts during the audience Q&A. To do so, I'm going to invite our host, Nisha, back, who's been following the questions closely and is helping organise them, as some might be similar. So Nisha, may I invite you to take the floor and offer some questions? Thank you.
Sure. So I'll start with the first one, which I think would be, it was for Bimpe. And the question is if you've noticed any difference amongst the different segments you described in terms of loan size, financial behaviors, how they're using the products and services that are offered to them, if there are any insights on that.
Yeah, what we noticed that, when we started this journey, we looked at the various needs. That's why I said we package our products according to their financial needs, to their lifestyle needs. I can't sell, okay, we have 2 flagship products, one for health. I can't sell for a woman that's over 50 or 60 that has kids. I can't now say, okay, I'm going to bundle a health program to say that if she has fertility issues or natal care. No. So we bundle our products according to their lifestyle needs, according to their financial needs. What are their needs at that particular time, at that stage in their life? The needs of a young millennial is different from a need of a woman that's already married and has kids. You cannot sell the same product to them. Their focus is different. Their orientation is different. The millennial is quick and savvy. She's savvy. But the woman, whatever it is right now, she's semi a little bit. She's not thinking about her kids, her family. So she's looking at the future. So she's looking at insurance. How can I secure my children's life? But here, the young millennial, she's single. She's looking at how can I enjoy life? This is the peak of her life. So the needs differs. And so the approach, the products must definitely differ. So when we did that, we found out that we caught it was like it was fire. So of course, for the young professional, you give her a credit card, you give her travel options, different travel packages. She will take that. For the woman in business, for the woman in family, you give her something for the children that will secure the children, education of the children, a lot of things. So their needs differ. So as soon as you understand their needs, you'll be able to now provide solutions to suit their financial and lifestyle needs. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Sandra, do you want to add anything, or should I just move to the next question?
You can, Bimpe has said it all. You can.
Yes, that was some very powerful messaging there, Bimpe. One question that was asked in a few different ways is around, it seems like you're focused on urban segments, urban women. Are you looking at women in rural areas, low-income women, as well as women who might not have as much access to technology?
Yes, we are. Actually, we are. Currently, we have the Better Proposition. It's called the Better Proposition for underserved and unbanked women in the society. It's a proposition that the bank already operates for women in that segment. However, for the W initiative, through partnerships with state governments, local governments, we're able to reach women in those certain areas, women who don't have access to digital technology, and it's something that we've been on. So through partnerships with our stakeholders, we've actually involved or embarked on projects like that.
Okay, great. We had a couple of questions around savings. So has Access Bank noticed a difference in uptake between loans and savings products amongst women in different segments and as compared to male counterparts? And related to that, there was also this question of do you see significant differences in the, the male clients' behaviors and female clients' behavior? Have you looked at this actively?
Yes, definitely. Yes, we have. Savings, yes. You remember that women make 80% of the financial decisions at home. So it's very, very key. And so when we do savings campaign just to attract them to say, okay, when we say, okay, there's a shortfall here, what can we do? We do a savings campaign, an investment campaign to also attract the women to save with us. Apart from that, in the process, we also now came up with a flagship product for women in business, which is a loan product. I looked at it and said, okay, let's support, let's empower. And just as I said, we inspire, we connect and empower women. So we came out with this, what we call the W Power. It's a discounted interest rate loan package for women in business with a very flexible interest rate, very, very flexible collateral, just because we believe in them, and then we believe in them, and also we want to help them scale up their businesses and at least make them achieve the goals for their businesses. So we did that based on the premise that they are good borrowers and they are better managers. Yes, even apart from we looking for funds to fund that product, we also went in partnership with the state to also fund entrepreneurs. We did a matching fund that without those trust and knowledge, we wouldn't have gone further. But we went further to say, okay, you have a structure, we can assist you with funds. You bring on the table, we'll match you with the same, and then give it to female entrepreneurs to also wanting to grow their business for this, or even for women that want to start a business. That's how incredible that product is. We looked at it and said, okay, for women that say, okay, I want to start a business, I don't have so much, we can loan you to start your business and you pay back in a year's time.
Great. So sort of building on that, you said, reaching like the messaging to women. So what have you found? You have a whole suite of communications channels for women. What did you find most effective messages and channels to reach the women? And are you reinforcing messages across channels? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So looking to our communication aspect, we're reinforcing channels for women, and we realized that women visit branches. So one of the most effective tools for communication is through flyers. When these women are given flyers, they can take it home, they see it in the branches, we have it displayed everywhere across the country and across our subsidiaries about W. Also, another very effective mode of communication for women is through social media. Right now, it's the new normal. A lot of people are jumping up on social media. So that's why we have the community, the W community for women. So it has been very, very effective. Other means of communication that we use, we also speak to women through emails. We send them emails, periodic emails. We send them newsletters. We send them SMSs for women in business about their loans. We also have communication materials on our mobile apps. We actually jump on the digital platforms that we have as a bank to communicate to women as well. And then for the rural community, we have communication designed for them through their stakeholders within the community. So you look at the women, the heads of the community, the governor's wives, associations, and all through their ecosystems, we're able to communicate with them, because women in that segment or in that space typically attend meetings and not necessarily have access to digital technology. Yes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think I'll do one more question and then hand it back to Fiona. So one question that, because there's a lot of people on this webinar who work in the development sector, and this is a question we always have when talking to a bank or financial service provider. You got some support from the IFC, you have a bunch of other development partners who've helped you along this journey, even though, it's coming from, the motivation is from Access Bank. Do you foresee continuing this without support from those external partners? Because those are time-bound interventions usually.
Yes. We can't do it all. And we definitely were not an island. So we are always we're always trying to forge partnership alliances with partners with both local, international. We also do try to do best practices. We're always there to scale up. We're always there looking for ways to make the life of a woman better. We always want to ensure that she's on the table and she's being counted for. It's a business that we are very, very intentional about as a bank, and we're also intentional about it in such a way that we are not only looking to be the world's respected African bank, we are looking to be the bank of choice for women in every space we are in. So we're in Africa, we're in Europe, or we're whatever state or country we are in, that is the mindset that we have.
Great. So I will stop. I know we have a lot more questions. We will try and answer some of them via when we share the materials. Fiona will tell you about the publication that might answer some of the questions. And we have a follow-up webinar that also focuses on segmentation. So some of these might get answered then, but I'll hand it back to Fiona.
Thanks very much, Nisha. We have, I think, enough time, I hope, to ask a couple of questions before we close. So I'm going to ask a question that really piqued my interest from the audience, which is there are about 3 or 4 questions that revolved around, are you targeting more harder to reach women, like those in the informal sector, those less formalized, perhaps those in more rural areas? So interesting to hear if they are part of your target market segment or, yeah, a segment that you're interested in banking.
So I answered the question earlier, but I'll reiterate again. Yes, so they're actually part of our target market as a bank and for the W initiative. For the bank, we have the better proposition to serve the underserved and unbanked women, women who don't have access to digital technology, and these women are preferred. So we have value propositions for them, to access soft loans for their businesses, for the market women within in the community, and women who really don't have as much as for against other women that we targeted as it for the W initiative. And for the W initiative, we have an array of partnerships with state governments, local governments, and community heads to reach women in these areas. Aside the partnerships, we ensure sustainability by building on these projects and programs that we've developed and following up with them, and ensuring that there is the financial inclusion bit is achieved eventually. Yeah.
Thanks, Sandra, for clarifying.
Also, let me add one or two things. Just to show us, that we are also very key in this. We are currently in partnership with the federal government of Nigeria to at least every year for the next 5 years empower 16 million vulnerable people in the society, and women are part of that vulnerable people. We are going to ensure that 70% of that 1.6 are female. So it is an initiative that we are very interested in. That's why we went into partnership with the federal government, and we are going to be disbursing funds in such a way to help them, their life, in their whatever stage they want to do. It's a business, it's a personal life, whatever it is they want to do. But we forged that partnership to look at that and said, this is another way to impact, inspire, and connect women. Thank you.
Great example of a very powerful and hope, potential for a powerful relationship between public and private sector. So thank you so much. We're at time now, so we're going to close the webinar. So that means that my role is to thank you very much, Sandra and Bimpe, for your time today.
Thank you.
It's been terrific and much appreciated that you've shared your knowledge with us. And I hope our listeners have been able to take some insights away from this conversation too. A quick message to the audience, and you'll see on the slide here that if you are interested in this topic around segmenting the women's market, then Kit please do read this publication, which we've just launched today. It's a new publication by the KIT called Why Segmentation Matters for Serving the Women's Market, by my colleague Anne and myself. It builds on the market research we did with Access Bank, Ghana, Nigeria and Rwanda, and offers some insights for financial service providers and others interested in using segmentation strategies as a tool to serve women's segments. We also explore how far segmentation strategies go to support gender transformative women's financial inclusion. So I am going to now share my gratitude to everyone for joining us today and hand over to Nisha for closing comments.
Great, thank you, Bimpe, Fiona and Sandra. I think that was a very interesting conversation. The chat kind of was, there were so many questions, such great insights. And as somebody in the chat said, I really appreciate the passion and hopefully it's contagious. That's kind of the purpose of this series. I wanted to remind everyone that we have the next webinar in this series next week on October 7th. And I've just shared the link in the chat. If you haven't already signed up, please do so. And we'll be talking to VP Bank in Vietnam, which also has, a similar strategy to focus on women and the SME market. So thank you everyone for your time. And we'll close with this and we'll follow up with the materials. One final comment as you log out, there will be an evaluation in the Zoom. We really would appreciate your time in filling that out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.